give a loud applause for Craig Houston. Craig Houston, welcome to the show, my friend. You will be celebrating as soon as I am, right?
Cheers to you, mate.
No. Cheers to you, Craig. I think your work recently has been instrumental in diminishing the SNP's vote share, and we must congratulate you on all the hard work that you've done. I've been addicted to your 10-minute moans on YouTube, and it's just what a sensational night we have. Honestly, this I can't actually contain myself. It's so beautiful, sensational. Let me ask you a few questions about what this means for Scotland, what this means for the SNP. Is it a nail in the coffin?
Well, my main driver is my microphone working okay, by the way?
You are absolutely loud and clear, my friend.
I'm always loud.
Yes, you are.
My main driver for joining the tactical voting campaign was my belief that a good result here tonight could, if it doesn't, actually bankrupt the SNP, but put that some way towards bankruptcy, because I just simply can't see how a business who the last set of accounts lost £800,000, they had about 50 grand in the bank, can sustain losses like this. They short money of 1.2 million, and the ministerial levy of about 600 grand gave them about £1.8 million income for supplying parliamentarians. So if you base that on that was originally 48, I'm not sure if the last set of accounts what number they were at exactly, but if you're going to make a dent in that and make it less than a quarter of what it already was, that's just blown all my expectations, mate. Yeah. So we could be denting potentially about 1.8, about taking that 1.8 million down to about 400 or 500 grand, 1.2, 1.3 million pound of loss of income like that.
Well, I think you're probably responsible for at least 200 grand of that yourself, Craig. If I don't say so myself. How does it feel? I mean, this is our night, and especially it's your night, Craig. I mean, over the last, you've risen from to prominence. I would say, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the last 6 months, you've went from a relative newcomer to YouTube, a relative newcomer to this political domain, to being a huge star and a voice of reason in the Scottish political community. So you can maybe speak to your journey and, what would you say to aspiring people? Because this isn't the end of the battle here. They've still got 10 seats, according to the exit polls. So that's 10 too many as far as I'm concerned. And I'm sure it's 10 too many as far as you're concerned. So what can people do to diminish and to crush the SNP down further?
Well, first of all, I'd like to correct you on your introduction there. You said a star. I'm not a star. I'm just a 51-year-old grumpy bald guy. Moans a bit. If people decide to watch that and they get entertained or learn from it, then that's a bonus. So, and the position that I've got to, because a lot of people might watch some of my videos, they certainly don't watch them all, but the odd video does really, really well. I can't thank people enough. I can't believe some of the viewing figures I get now and again with a wee rocket a video now and again. And, when you go out in the street and you talk to people, particularly that day when you and I met up at Holyrood, to actually, when you're doing this and you're sitting in this exact spot with that camera's company, just talking shite, right? That's what I do. You don't get any feedback. You can look sometimes at numbers and, you see viewers and things, but you don't actually get feedback. And when you go into a scenario like that, when we went up to Holyrood and people are coming up and patting your back and telling you they watch your videos and stuff, it blows your mind a bit, because you get that, you eventually get that feedback. And I'm very humbled by it, and the response I've had over the last 24 hours for people. I found a guy who stood for election today, and he said that he'd done that because he was inspired by my videos. I remember him telling me I was emotional. And then you start hearing people saying, look, Craig, I've managed to get me and my family, and we're all going to tactically vote, and we're doing this. And then, it's not just one or two, and it grows, and you think, wow, this daft thing that I started because Michael Matheson decided to lie about a phone bill. That's why I've done what I ended up doing it. It's just mental. and I didn't even consider it. I was politically aware. I wasn't politically active. I wouldn't say politics was even one of my top 3 things in life up until November. So even tonight, I was on a space as the exit polls came out, and I had to ask the question. I said, how accurate are these things normally? Because I've just seen a number.
Yeah.
Well, it could be 10 or 20% out. So it could be between 8 and 12. So it's not going to be 20. And I still don't think that's sunk in.
Yeah. No, me neither.
And if it's anywhere near that, mate, I started this journey in November with the Michael Matheson thing, and then around about January, February, I jumped onto you could actually vote. I saw a set of accounts, and I thought, shit, what's going on here? This is bonkers. And I realised, if we tactically voted enough in the right way, we could really dent them and potentially bankrupt them. And I was trying to think, well, what would be good? What would good look like? And I came up with a figure of between 20 and 25, because with half the income, that's a fair dent. So I didn't want to get carried away when we started seeing polls suggesting 7s and 11s and a lot in the high teens. I didn't want to get myself, ambitions up and, get carried away. But when that exit poll came out, even at that point, I'm thinking, I was in, Basel. I was in a room with Basel, and I was like, right, mate, everybody's getting really excited here, but what does that mean? He's like, they've had it wrong probably once, right? It'll be 8, 12, that'll be the sort of margin for error. And it's still no sunk in. It's just mental, mate. There's Mrs. Mitch. She's making some comments.
Craig, I can't agree anymore. Mrs. Mitch, a great bloke. And if you're in here, get this broadcast shared. We've got Craig for the next 22 minutes. We've got the man himself for 22 minutes, guys. Every minute counts, and it's such a jubilant occasion. And again, I have credited David with all his hard work. And I'm going to credit you with all your hard work. And you might say it's insignificant. I know you're a very humble guy. And when you're telling me that, I was welling up myself, because I myself has been, it's different facing a camera. It really is. But when you're on the street and people come up to you in person, as I remember you watching one of my favourite videos of yours was the aftermath of the sort of political rally we had outside Holyrood. And you said you've broke it, or you busted your political rally cherry, or your protest cherry, and you would do it again, and you would do it again, because it is incredibly humbling, Dave, Craig, isn't it? That people, I mean, you said before you even left the car park, people were coming up to you and saying, "Oh, Craig, I love your videos." And it's the thing about you is you can hear in your voice that it's the truth that's being spread. It's truth has got a certain tone to it, a ring to it, and I think you are a voice of reason in Scotland. You're going to continue to be a voice of reason in Scotland, and just to have you on the show is just an incredible honour, Craig. It really is.
Don't be daft. I'm just big Craig. It's no honour having me on, mate. I'm just a big guy. It's just caught some people's imaginations. But that day at Holyrood was special. Not ever for in my heart. Just the reaction. It was mind blowing. And it wasn't my protesting, Cherry. I was involved in a wee skirmish for 3 years, 10 years ago with the people that owned Rangers Football Club, and I got myself involved, and I should have. So I was used to the protesting and stuff, and campaigning. But with that, what I would do is a lot of my stuff was internet based and social media based, and I would put something out on a Wednesday, and by a Thursday night or a Saturday, I would be at a football match. So you would feel, did that work? Did that not work? So you were getting feedback, maybe not instantly, but certainly within a 2 or 3 day window. But this was different. I had the odd punter, right? Funny, I remember the first person that recognised me through my videos, and I was sitting in a kebab shop in Paisley Road West, and this guy was like, "You're that guy off the internet, aren't you? You're Big Craig." And I was like, "Aye, mate." And he says, "I left a comment the other night and I got a yip response off you. Cheers, mate. You made my day, right?" And you're like, "This is bizarre. It's starting to happen." So I've got that experience from 10 years ago to sort of try and steady me. But it was... it's bizarre, and you don't get as quick a feedback. And another thing happened the other day. We were coaching the kids down at Bellahouston Park, and the Green Day were on. So there was loads of people passing the football park to go to the event, and I was standing at the gate with one of the coaches and his son. And this group of guys walked by, probably about ages with myself. They looked a wee bit out of their sorts with the country run. And one of them went like, "All right, Craig, all right, mate." It's like, keep up the banter. I'm loving your 10-minute videos on YouTube, mate. Cheers, pal. Catch you later. And the wee boy that was with his dad looked at him and he went, "Is Craig famous?" Right? I've got a YouTube channel, son. He says, "So are you an influencer?" I says, "I don't know."
An influencer.
If I can influence one or two folk to vote SNP,
well, I think again, you're underestimating your reach here, Craig, and you're underestimating your power of persuasion. And it's not really maybe not the power of persuasion. You're just putting across the normal reasoned response. And this is the thing. Again, I think you're very humble.
Sorry to interrupt you there, mate. Is it okay to vape in your house?
You can do, and do whatever you want. It's our night, my friend. You could. I was about to say you could open my crack pipe up, but I'd probably draw the line at that, my friend.
No, we'll stop there.
I know that's a bit daft. But yeah, I'm certainly on the booze. I'm not one for drinking at all. But we've got. See, since you've come on, we've just increased by about 200 viewers there. So we're up to about 1,800 now. Incredible scenes for my maiden show.
Aye. We'll probably if I keep talking shite, they'll turn out.
And even we've had our good friend Basil jump in. Enjoy the night, boys. Yes.
How did you get him? How did you get him out of space? How did that happen?
See, Basil's a bit of a weird creature nowadays.
No,
especially on the Twitter. Sometimes, I mean, I've been living on Twitter the last few days, and he's never half a space, Basil. I don't care if the guy sleeps.
I went on to one. I got up one morning, 7:30, 8 o'clock, something like that, and I went on to check something. I was having a conversation with somebody at the end of my night on Twitter, and I wanted to go in and check if they'd responded to me. And I seen on the space Basil's talking, right? So I've clicked on this thing. I'm like, what's he doing? Right? It was about 8 o'clock in the morning, right? Now we'd shut a space about 3 o'clock in the morning, 5 hours earlier. And there's Basil in this room full of Americans talking. Americans, right? I'm like, get off the telly, man.
Anyway. He can't help himself with Basil. But again, I mean, he's played his own part in orchestrating sort of the anti-SNP rhetoric and the anti-SNP voices into one cohesive voice, which is great. But again, I sort of want to pick your brain a wee bit. So we've got you for another 15 minutes. I want to pick your brain. If you've got any questions for Craig, please put them in the comments and I'll relay them to him. But I want to pick your brain about what this means. This minus 38 seats for the SNP. Yeah. What does this mean going into the Holyrood election, you think? Because I really would value your opinion on this.
I think, I'm not the most learned political expert. I'm not the most learned political observer. There's many people far better at it than me. But I think it shows a massive swing away from the SNP. And the one figure I'm really looking forward to is the voting percentage, because the prediction was they were going to lose between 20 to 25% of their fan base from the 2019 election. So if that holds up, that's a great sign that. And I keep saying this, mate. When I started doing my stuff, it was just purely unionists and guys my age that I knew that I was thinking I would get my crowd. But I then seen people, nationalists creep in, and I don't mean nationalists creep in and tell me I was a fat baldy git. I mean nationalists creeping into comments saying I agree with you, and and one of the best comments I've ever seen where I thought, shit, there's a mic drop moment. This is working. Whereas some guy came in, the Celtic fans called me Uncle Fester after my last load of campaigning.
They're not so far wrong, Craig.
Aye, some guy came in, like, either Uncle Fester talking shite again or something. And this boy came on and he said, mate, I'm a Celtic fan and I'm a season ticket holder, but Craig Houston's my hero on YouTube, right? And I was like, what? There's 100 million folk on YouTube, mate. I'm not your guy. But that told me that I was reaching a wider audience, and it's not. I've interviewed Neil Hanvey, the Alba. I've interviewed Shannon Donoghue, whose mum was a previous SNP MP. She was previous quite an activist in the party. They've all switched to Alba, and talking to these people has been enlightening, because my new tagline was the SNP of buggered up Scotland for the unionists, but they've also killed the independence dreams of a lot of nationalists. And
which is likely a bigger story.
The fact that
I mean, let's dive in a bit a wee bit. Do you think this means is this the death of the independence movement, Craig?
I don't think. See, this was something me and Basil spoke about one night, and he would love to see the end of the notion of nationalism. And I don't like nationalism, but I don't mind a lot of people that just fancy independence. I see this Scotland is made up of three different characters. You've got people that are nationalists, 100%. You've got people like myself and yourself, unionists, 100%. And you've got this big bit in the middle where, is that the first result coming through?
I just put it up just for someone. I didn't know what it was, but it looks like a result coming in.
So you've got this big bit in the middle who are people who are, could be swayed either way. And they've actually let them down as well because so I don't think nationalism, although I would love the notion of independence to bugger off, I'm not chasing that. I don't, because if you chase that and you think let's kill the notion of nationalism, then you've got to accept that someday could say let's kill the notion of the unionists, right? And I'm not particularly comfortable with that. But they've let down that whole sphere, and you're right. I think the fact that they've lost 20 to 25% of their own voting base, if that remains true when we see the full figures, that is frightening. That is a massive message. Now, some of them may have given up the notion of independence, but I would imagine more of that loss will just have given up on the shambles of a party that they seen to deliver them independence. And independence has got to have an adult talk. We can't have it forced on us. We can't have Nicola Sturgeon dictate that, I've got a mandate because I've got 39% of the vote, that we have another referendum and take that all the way to the Supreme Court. These things are just mental. We can't have a government that talk about independence every day. We can't have a government that when they do wrong, they want to say, well, it's either Westminster, Brexit or Tories' fault, and that'll change at midnight to Labour's fault. That type of politics is absolutely ridiculous. People getting in a room and having an adult discussion about independence or being part of the UK, I'm cool with that. But the type of governance we've had in the last 17 years has got to end. It's just absolute bonkers, mate.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can't reiterate just how one profound, I think, that your contribution to the conversation has been. And I know you're a humble guy, and I know you're probably not accept it, but I truly believe that just having somebody as reasoned as you putting out political videos, 10-minute moans on the daily has made an incredible impact, Craig. And I know you won't accept it, but I'm going to credit you with at least a big portion of the SNP's loss. It's down to not only you, but people like you who are dragging the conversation back to normality, who are dragging the conversation back to where people's reasonable people are. And that's why you're appealing to the likes of Celtic fans, maybe not necessarily, but your best mate. But it's just the general reasonableness, and
the fact that I could sit down quite comfortably with people who are obviously nationalists. One of them is standing for a seat tonight over in Kirkcaldy. The other one, her mother was standing in a seat in Ayrshire, and she was an activist of an SNP. I'm trying to be a grown-up about this thing, and I think that's where we need to be with politics. And I just hope that we can bury this mob, and if we don't take them off tonight, then they can't survive much longer. Nobody's giving them money. Westminster are just going to be that. I mean, the thought that they could lose 800 grand, more than that, possibly on the actions of the Scottish. That's what I keep saying. See, the Scottish public, right? They get it. They actually get it. They just know right from wrong. They know when somebody's pissing up their leg, right? They don't put up with nonsense. And this is the first time in a while they've had the opportunity to prove it. And they've done it again. And see if they've done it to get them down to 10 seats, they've done it far above my wildest expectations. And it's them that need the thanks. It's the people that have done things. I went in to vote for Labour tonight, and it broke my heart. I didn't. The way I got it right in my head was I thought, if I don't tactically vote and I wake up on Friday morning and I've got an SNP MP, I will be gutted that I never tried. I would rather try and lose than no try and put up with the consequences. I thought I couldn't do it. So I'd sort of got that in my head. That's what I was doing and why I was doing it. And then I went to the polling booth today, and I got that piece of paper and I looked down, and it suddenly hit me what I was about to do. And I actually got a bit emotional. But the maddest thing was, I looked and I thought, I know what I need to do, right? There's no danger I'm changing my mind. I can't ask the Scottish public to do this thing and not do it myself. So that wasn't a question. But I looked at that paper. I must have been in the booth for a good few minutes. And I looked and I thought, see if I hadn't come in today to tactically vote, who would I have voted for? Because that's a joke.
Well, maybe that's a question that I'll ask you now. If you didn't go in to tactically vote, because I think the job's been done, Craig.
Right.
If you didn't go in there to tactically vote,
yeah.
Where's your conscience?
Well,
where's your voting conscience going?
24 hours before it would have been reform. But what Reform Scotland done and what I unearthed and found out and whatever in the last 24 hours killed that notion.
Can you recap for the viewers just what you did uncover?
Well, I didn't really. I didn't me. It was people giving me information. But the first thing I got sent a news article, and the headline was, "This guy had voted SNP for a long time, and he'd voted for independence, and he's now a reform candidate." And I thought, well, and what? Because people are allowed to change their mind. But then when I read into the story, we found out that he was advocating, and he was suggesting that it was a reform topic, that we'd have a referendum in 2039. And I thought, what? That can't be right. I then found a tweet, or I think it might have been Basil, found a tweet where he said the exact same thing in January. And then we found a video of him in the last couple of months saying, I voted independence and I'm still a nationalist and I still want independence. And you get, this guy's second in charge in their party in Scotland. We then found in total 4 candidates who are nationalists, and we didn't look far. There was one stood up in Rutherglen Hustings and said, he was asked the question, would you vote independence? And his answer was yes. Like, what? There's another guy in Edinburgh that is actively part of a nationalist group. And then there was a guy who was a candidate and get kicked out of them, right? That's how nuts this guy was. He managed to get kicked out of Reform for being a crackpot. But he came onto one of your spaces and told us that he was a nationalist, and during his interviews, he was asked, would you vote for independence again? And told Reform, yes, I would. And Reform put him up as a candidate.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
it's very strange.
No, I can't cope with this. Now, mate, I'm going to give you a wee bit of an upright. Unless you do Twitter spaces that I'm in, you'll never have heard this before. But I was considering standing for election in Holyrood 2026, right? And I had 3 things to... Well, first thing to consider, do I want to do it or not, right?
Yes.
And then if I do it, what do I do? What does it look like? And I had 3 things to consider if I decided to do it. And that was stand as a candidate for the SDP, which had already been asked if I wanted to do, so that would have been an easy thing. Contact Reform and possibly ask them to put me up as a candidate or stand as an independent, right? That's where I was. Now, what happened over that 24 hours is just cemented my thoughts that I can't stand party politics. I just don't get it. It doesn't suit me, right? So I went, that's it. Those 2 options are off the table, right? And then what I done was I thought, do you know what? There's a time limit in everybody's decisions in life. People don't bring that into their thinking when they're considering making a decision. You don't have to make a decision just now about everything. Now, if you're crossing the road and you need to decide left or right, you kind of need to make that decision right now. It's life-threatening, right? But other decisions can have a timescale on them. Now, the timescale to make that decision could be up to 2 years. Yeah. Do you know what else it taught me yesterday? I went, bugger it, I'm doing this. And I'm doing this as an independent. And I'm doing this as an independent, standing in the regional list in Glasgow. And if Humza Yousaf is still going to compete for his seat, I'll go in the constituency list because he's my MSP, and I'll stand against him. But I'll ask folk not to vote for me on the constituency list. I'll ask them to do tactical voting again, if need be, and I'll ask them to give me their second vote.
Well, I think,
and I may or may not get a win there.
I don't think you'll need to contact Reform. I think Reform might
that's off the table, mate.
You. So Reform's off the table for you. So I think
both parties are off the table. I'm standing as an independent. That's it. I can't be bothered with party politics. The stunts they pulled in it, I've seen in the last 24 hours, that's off the table. So I'm going to stand as an independent candidate, and I'm going to put myself and ask people to give me the second vote in Glasgow. And if Humza is still standing in his constituency just now, I'll go down as a constituency candidate against him, but ask people not to vote for me. Tactically vote in the first paper, but can you please give me your vote on the second paper?
Well, you've heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. And Craig, that's an incredibly brave and bold thing to do. But again, I don't think there's any other way you'd really do it. I mean, you're a brave guy, you're a bold guy, And if someone irks you, if someone is sort of annoying you about party politics, then you're right to take this approach. You're your own man, and you can stand on your own merit. And I think you do well, Craig.
What I want to do is I want to be the guy in that parliament that will hold these people accountable, not for the people that voted for me, and not just for the people of Glasgow, and not just for the unionists in Scotland, for everybody in Scotland, to say the exact same things I've been doing on these videos and say, stop a minute, answer that question, and see if you want to dodge it and go and start blaming Westminster. No, point of order, Mr. Presiding Officer. He asked a question, I'd love to hear the answer. So come on, give me it, right? And, look into things like, can we save money? And see, instead of saying as a business, we need to bring our income up and just tax people more so we can spend more on services, get right in about it, get right under the bonnet and say, right, here's some services. Are we getting value for money in contracts? Can we save some money here? And see, there's the free buses, for example, £300 million per year, right? So let's just say we're not doing that anymore, right? There's £300 million like that you can stick into healthcare or housing or filling potholes and just doing normal common sense things and hold these people accountable and look at the Quangos and look at the charities that they give money and look at what are we spending money on that's shite that we don't need. And just instead of taxing people in every bloody thing that moves, save some money. And I'm not talking about taking services out, I'm talking about getting value for money in services and just be the guy that's, I don't know, that the common sense copper for the Scottish people in that place full of lunatics and just hold them accountable. So that's where I'm going, mate. I made that decision.
Certainly the voice of reason on YouTube when it comes to the sort of anti-nationalist content that exists. And if you continue the way you're going, which I'm sure you absolutely will, I'm sure you'll get a massive vote share, Craig. And there's... Two people already espousing.
I get 2 votes already. Well, 3 will get mine.
2 votes. It is a bit dismaying that you wouldn't stand for a party like Reform, because I think Reform may spell the future in Scotland, but they do need new leadership. I think if given time, they've got this period between now and then to decide, no, we need to purge the people that perhaps that you've uncovered that seem to be nationalists in disguise.
It's not even that. See, if they went tomorrow, 4 people are binned, right? And they find another 5 or 6 and they say they're all binned. That's not the thing that got me. The thing that was the killer for me was their party knew these people were nationalists and they've pissed up. I don't think they appreciate the torture their normal unionist in Scotland has had to live through, especially in the last 10 years, right? So we were grasping onto this thing as being this is our party, and they've just shat on us by putting people up and accepting people into their candidates list that are nationalists. You think you can't do that to his mate? So I'm really, really sorry. That ain't going to be happening. That's not a road I'm going to go down. The SDP have got a cracking manifesto and they're good people, but I need to say sorry. Thanks, but no thanks to the offer of standing for them, purely because my faith in party politics is at 0 now. So.
Well, I think the name Craig Houston can stand on its own, Craig, and we're approaching the half-hour mark. I can't thank you enough for what you've done. Your battle against the SNP has been won. This is a pivotal battle, and we've won it, Craig. You have been instrumental in diminishing the SNP's vote share. Don't be humble about it. Celebrating yourself. This has been in part down to you. What percentage of that part is it's anybody's guess, but you've been certainly a part of it. I can't thank you enough for all the work that you've done over the years.
Well, can I just say thank you to lots of people, those that have just watched my videos, because I just can't believe some of them. I've got 2 that are over 200,000 hits, and I think, what you doing? What are you watching me for, right? But even more importantly, I see anybody that's went and ticked the right box today, whether it was Labour, Conservative or Lib Dem, depending where they lived, I can't thank them enough, because they made a daft bald guy dead proud.
Well, again, it comes back to this. Once you leave the digital domain and you're on the streets, it's incredibly humbling, Craig. When people come up to you, they want to shake your hand, they want to say thank you for all the work you've done, and I'm one of these people, Craig.
No need.
Right, well, it's been a pleasure, Craig. You've been a spirited guest. You've raised the roof here with over 2,000 viewers right now watching us. So cheers, Craig. It's all to you. Cheers, my friend. Cheers to the end of the SNP, my friend.
Cheers to you and yours, mate.
Please give Craig a massive follow if you don't already, and thank him for his contribution. Okay.